the end of September to visit Sri Lanka and to visit areas that are under the control of the Tamil Tigers, to engage in a dialogue with them in a positive and constructive way. We also agreed to invite the chief negotiator for the Tamil Tigers to visit the United Kingdom, to come to Parliament and to hear his views as to what is happening there. And the third thing that we said we would do is to have a meeting in July of this year, a summit meeting where all the various parties could participate as a means of exploring how we would take this issue forward. Because although we haven't had debates of this kind in this House before, we have, just listening to the experience of so many right honourable and honourable members here, we have had these discussions outside Parliament, and it really is time now to make progress and not just discuss these issues as we do from time to time. Of course, the honourable gentleman member for Tooting pointed out that we are concerned with the community here, and that is what drives us. Many are interested, of course, in foreign affairs, but what drives us as constituency MPs is our constituents coming to see us at our surgeries, at public meetings, in various projects in our constituencies, pointing out that the contribution that the British Tamil community have made. When my honourable friend mentioned the Tooting Tamils, I thought they'd become so British this sounded like a local football club, Madam Deputy Speaker, because they are as British as you and I are, and they are playing a full contribution in this country. They're contributing to our economy in the National Health Service, as the honourable gentleman for Mid Worcestershire has pointed out, almost 2,500 Tamils plus, not just GPs and doctors in the NHS, but one of the leading surgeons on prenatal operations is actually based at a hospital in my honourable friend's constituency near or around Tooting. So they've become first-class contributors, and therefore they deserve to have us debate these issues in this House, because for the reasons that were mentioned by the honourable member for Bermondsey and Southwark, they are constantly aware of what is happening to their friends and relatives in Sri Lanka, and that is why we deserve to discuss these issues, and that is why we deserve to take them forward, not just discuss them in a usual parliamentary way. I was present at the very useful meeting that the British Tamil Forum had with our Home Secretary, and he reminded us of the phrase, I can't remember who said it, but I'm sure somebody in this House might be able to tell us, that one man's terrorist was another man's freedom fighter. I'm sure it wasn't his phrase, he was reminding us of it, but it was in the context of a discussion about how do we lift the ban. Because I believe very firmly that the ban on the Tamil Tigers, certainly as they operate in this country, should be lifted. And I believe it should be lifted as soon as possible. I think the prescription of these organisations that were achieved by this government in 2001 happened because of certain circumstances that were occurring worldwide, and were reacted by imposing the ban on a number of organisations, in particular a Sikh organisation at that time, which operated from my constituency. And I know governments have to react sometimes in a knee-jerk way, but 6 years have now passed, and I think it is time that we look at this ban and we look at ways in which we can assist to ensure that the dialogue proceeds. I know this is different to what the member for Mid Worcestershire was saying, because he believes very much that unless you renounce violence, we cannot have discussions with you. But as we've heard from colleagues on both sides of the House, we would never have got to the stage where we could look with mild amusement at a photograph of the honourable gentleman, the leader of the Ulster Unionists, and Democratic Unionists, and Martin McGuinness, with EU President Barroso in the middle, sharing a joke. I mean, this would have been, and I've had to sit, as other honourable and right honourable members have had to sit through debates on Northern Ireland, I would never have believed this possible, even a few years ago. Because of the work of people like the Right Honourable Gentleman for Torfan and many others, this is possible. So, I will. So it is possible to move on, but we cannot move on unless we have that dialogue. You cannot have a dialogue if you prescribe groups and you ban them.
Be members of the LTTE are inhibited from speaking out because they're afraid they're going to be tagged with a terrorist label. And indeed, at a meeting that we had, I have the honourable member from Kingston and Surbiton, they were so afraid we actually had to have a police presence because they were so afraid that, that they would engender enmity from the community by meeting.
Yeah, because they're different Democrats.
The Right Honourable Lady is absolutely right. And it is wrong for them to be treated in this way. And it is wrong for them to be treated in this way. And it is wrong for them to feel this fear. And whoever, whether it is the Sri Lankan government or whoever, is spinning this fear, it ought to stop, because participating in the British political process is the right of every British citizen.
Yeah, yeah.
And contrary to the view that they are here as asylum seekers or they're here as refugees, I think this reference was made to this, they're actually members of the settled community. Clearly there are some who are asylum seekers and some who are seeking refugee status, but others are very well established here, and they should feel open about their involvement in political meetings and open in their involvement in the British political process. And we need, as he is sitting at the moment with the member for Brent North, another minister, both of them have Tamils, a large number of British Tamils in their constituencies. When we look at the issue of international aid, I want to hear whether or not, in giving aid, as we should do, to Sri Lanka, the point is made to the Sri Lankan government that it is important that the aid reaches the people that it is intended to reach, and that in us supporting this government through the aid process, that they have a responsibility to make sure that the dialogue begins. And if we've done anything this week in setting up the all-party group, in having this debate here on the floor of the House, it must be to create the climate and conditions for dialogue. Dialogue between Tamil groups, including the Tamil Tigers and the Sri Lankan government. Dialogue between Tamil groups and the international community. Frankly, dialogue between the Foreign Office and the Home Office, because I was very surprised to hear from the Minister of State that he's not had a chance to meet the Home Secretary to discuss these issues. Through no want of his, I'm sure his diary is awful, being a Foreign Office Minister with the responsibilities he has, but I hope he will meet him, because this is an issue that affects both the Foreign Office and the Home Office. Because I believe that it is only through dialogue that we're going to get peace. And I hope that that must be the way forward. This is the only way to bring peace to this troubled but beautiful island.
Mr. Shah Ishvara.
Yeah.